Morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Well, welcome to this webinar. We're not going to take much of your time. We'll just be here with you for the next 1 hour. And I promise it's going to be exciting and reaching experience. So the webinar is being hosted by Webinar. My name is Eunomy. My name is Bamidele Obende. I'm the lead executive for Eunomy. And Eunomy is a cybersecurity compliance, governance, and operations platform. What we just try to do with Eunomy is to ensure that people that require cybersecurity compliance solutions, to require operations and governance solutions, that from Eunomy, from our platform, that we'll be able to carry out all those operations that you want to carry out to ensure that you are compliant based on the regulations that you see all around us. And for this morning, we're starting a series of webinars which we believe that we'll be hosting by monthly basis or quarterly basis for now, and then we'll change to by monthly and monthly basis in the long run. And our first webinar for today, we'll be talking about ethical considerations in digital solutions in the digital space. We're talking about ethical considerations when dealing with digital technologies. And there's a particular reason why we've tried to say, let's go ahead with this topic, most especially these days in Nigeria. You always hear so many things. Somebody hacked into my system, I was not there. Somebody hacked into my system, somebody hacked into my bank account, and the money got missing and things like that. So I'm trying to say from an ethical perspective, in the long run, it's human beings that actually provide these solutions. How about if we look at it from an ethical perspective, that we'll be able to provide digital protection for the solutions, for the services that are out there? How about if we say, let people consider the ethical standards or the things that have to do with ethics when providing solutions? I was saying this morning, what are the ethical considerations that you need to focus on when looking at things from a digital perspective or digital protection? What are the ethical considerations that you have to focus on? And first of all, let's talk about what do you mean when you say ethics? What do you mean by ethics? Let me start with the dictionary definition of ethics. And it says moral principles that govern a person's behavior for the conducting of an activity. Moral principles that govern a person's behavior for the conducting of an activity. So if we are considering the moral principles this morning, or rather this afternoon, do we say that the people that actually develop these solutions, do they consider the moral principles when developing these digital solutions, or the people that actually make use of this digital solution, do they consider the ethical perspective as well when they make use of these solutions? Remember, in business is built on trust. And if there's no trust in business, people will not come to do business with you. And another reason why we actually said, let's even look at this topic as well. I've been privileged to come across a book the last few weeks, and it's a very, very good book, I must confess. And for many that will have the privilege of coming across the book, I'll say just take a look at it as well. It's Cybersecurity, the Insights You Need from Harvard Business School. And it's a review of different cybersecurity trends. But in reading this book, there was a statement that really crossed my mind, and I posted it on my LinkedIn page during the week, about 5 days ago. And it's a quote from Andy Bochman. It says, identify the functions whose failure will jeopardize your business, isolate them from the internet to the greatest extent possible, reduce their reliance on digital technologies to an absolute minimum, and backstop their monitoring and control with analog devices and trusted human beings. I looked at that quote and I was just asking myself, so is this man saying we should go back to using analog devices in 2023? Or what exactly is this saying? I think a lot of us should go take a look at that book. That is one. But again, I will have two speakers here in this webinar today. They will also delve into this topic further, and they will share their perspective as well. And let's see if they also agree with Andy Bochman as well. One of them is Gbolabo Awelewa, is the CTO for Enterprise Services Limited, the CTO and the country manager for Enterprise Services Limited. And the other person is Ayomide I, is the lead research and development in Eunomy. They'll be taking us further on this topic. And also, they'll also tell us more about the things that they also do when they take us further into this topic. So without wasting much of our time, we're going to go into the first, more or less, thing that we have to do today, which is the poll. So my assistant is going to take a poll, he's going to conduct a poll, and from there I'll hand over to Gbolabo for him to take us as the first speaker for today. So Mayowa, please, can you share the poll? So let's hear from the audience, and then Gbolabo will just speak up directly. Thank you. So the poll is on the screen, so can we just answer quickly? Can we answer quickly? So we can close the poll and then Gbolabo takes over quickly. Okay. Has everybody answered? We have 19 people that have more or less answered the question, but we have 27 people in the meeting. So we just wait for about 30 more seconds and then to share the results. And I'll hand over to Gbolabo, the country manager, CTO of Enterprise Services Limited. Okay, let me share the results. To we'll see the results as well. Omayewa, can you share the results? Oh, okay. So this is the result on the screen. So 63% of everybody here, based on the question, how often do you consider the ethical implications of sharing personal information online? 63% says, I'm very cautious about the ethical aspects. Some say sometimes, and some people say rarely. So let's see what Gbolabo will have to tell us concerning this. And then we'll see what the next poll will also say as well. Gbolabo, over to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Bamidele. Thanks for the intro. Good day, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here. Today, we'll be talking about, so my slide reads business perspectives on digital protection, which would be speaking to part of the theme, which is the topic on ethical considerations, as, you operate your business or as you work, within a business. So we'll be looking at how can digital protection practice impact your business. We'll be looking at a case study, and the impact of, digital protection practices. We'll be looking at potential risk and consequences, and also, like Bamidele had mentioned, Eunomy, which is that service that is going to be turning things around for a lot of businesses, very soon, or we've started, and we've picked up that journey and we are looking at onboarding more businesses. And then ethical responsibilities of organizations and individuals in safeguarding digital assets. Okay, so how can, digital protection, sorry, how can digital protection practice impact the business before, they really understand and experience the importance of digital protection, the typical word, cybersecurity, implementing cybersecurity controls. But if you're following the trends worldwide, you've seen multinationals and big businesses, fall prey to digital breaches, security breaches because they didn't implement or they didn't take digital protection seriously. And an example is Equifax, in 2017, where personal information was exposed, was shared. And it's almost simplistic, because now websites are more secure now. And as a result, they faced numerous lawsuits, they lost contracts, they lost customers, they lost a lot of money, payouts, settlements. And it's just really difficult. It impacts the brand, it impacts the business. Most businesses don't survive. And it's at that point their peers or other businesses like them now start taking cybersecurity or digital protection very seriously. But today I think it's a bit different. Also with entities and businesses like us, working with our customers and evangelizing and putting it out there that digital protection should be part of your strategic plan, as you grow your business. And on the other hand, so like I said, what companies are prioritizing digital protection today, and it's helping them build trust, it's helping them increase their customer base and stakeholders and partners. And uh, security professionals are spending a lot of time now helping business justify their investment in cybersecurity, and there's been a lot of returns. And an example is Apple. There's always this back and forth or banter on Apple and Android, iOS and Android. And a typical example is when you're trying to onboard an application to the App Store of, either iOS or Android. So most times, immediately the Android app is uploaded. But for Apple, you would have to pass through some stages. They do a lot of security checks, security testing before they would even accept your application. And that's why you hardly hear about buggy apps or, malware or virus related issues with Apple applications. So it's Apple has discovered the importance of digital protection. They see how encrypting, end-to-end encryption for messaging, end-to-end encryption for customer information, customer data is very important, to curb and to address, specific vulnerabilities. This has helped Apple build loyal customers. So people use Apple today because they just feel it's secure. They feel there's always that additional control in place to protect their personal information and their business. So a very good use case. So a fintech company, so imagine a fintech company provides mobile payment platform, allows users transfer money, allows users make payments, maybe value-added services. It allows you manage your finance and do a lot of, critical from a financial perspective, critical activities. So the company places a strong emphasis on ethical digital protection practices. And these are the impacts of that. So when you implement and ensure ethical digital protection practices are in place in your organization, you mitigate a lot of risks. It helps you protect data, it helps you protect your transaction, it prevents unauthorized access, and it prevents limits at least to the barest minimum incidents or cases of fraud. So this can be overstated. Initially, it might be a bit of a stretch, because of the controls in place. But businesses have been able to inculcate and internalize in such a way that you see it as part of the process and you appreciate, that secure process they've put in place for you. User trust and reputation. Today, you would see specific users like to, just like the Apple example, or some specific platforms, because they go through that rigorous test and assessment, you trust that you can always do transactions and use this platform. And there are hardly issues of fraud or any security breach. And that helps the business grow. It attracts customers. There will be typical word of mouth. People would have conversations, say, this is what I use. I think you should use the same thing too. So it's a very good for the reputation of a business, and trust, with customers and stakeholders. Regulatory compliance, thinking ethically, thinking digital protection, by default, you would meet some specific regulatory compliance standards, either local regulators in the country or international based on the kind of service you're providing. So an example is the payment card industry data security standard for digital payment providers. This ensures you are securely handling, managing card data, in a secure manner, whether at rest or in transit. Business continuity management. Part of it is having security controls in place, having security practices in place, also having proactive security measures in place, which is, whether it's monitoring an incident response or identifying a vulnerability on time and remediating before, the bad actors are identified and try to exploit, and just generally monitoring your landscape and identifying a risk or a vulnerability on time and closing it to ensure continuity of business. So that's operational continuity. It prevents financial loss. A lot of the impact, what it helps us achieve is it saves us from breaches, issues that would lead to, lawsuits, payouts, or even, knee-jerk reactions in investing and implementing security controls. So I've seen organizations that after an incident, there's a major rush to protect themselves, and there is no proper planning and reinvent it again. And before they settle, they've spent a lot of money, they've lost a lot of money, and that would have been prevented if they had been proactive or they've been strategic from a digital protection perspective. Innovation and expansion. So we've seen over time that, you thrive, innovation thrives when, your platform, your service is stable and secure, and you're sure of your customer base. And that lets you go that next level that, what, I'm going to be innovating and I'm going to be securing while at it. So there's always a lot of conversation around how innovation at times exposes the business. But then again, securing effectively, having digital practices in place actually enhances, and expands the business, from an innovative perspective. Um, Investor confidence. I've seen a lot of startups, their investors demand, that they have complied to best practices, security best practices. The investors demand that they have digital protection practices in place, because that's what would give them comfort to invest in the business and assure that their investment is protected. Partnership assurance, we see this a lot with financial institutions, payment companies, where before they can partner with you, before they are assured to integrate with you as a third party, they need to see that you have digital protection practices in place. So digital protection generally is a positive for any organization. It helps grow your business, it helps you grow your customer base, retain customer base, and helps you generate revenue and retain revenue. So we'll look at potential risks, consequences of unethical behavior. So literally, not putting digital protection or cybersecurity measures in place, would lead to privacy violations, which would expose, you to lawsuits, payouts, would also impact your reputation negatively. Invasive advertising, your platform, your business would be used for invasive measures, and you won't look professional, you won't look structured. Definitely cybersecurity threats, which might lead to a breach. Data breaches, yes, obviously. Intellectual property theft, not protecting your intellectual property properly, and that's a loss on its own. And your business can be replicated and repeated, and that's a major loss for you. Online scams and fraud, I'm sure a lot of us know about this. Some of us have experienced this. And the idea is for us to only work with businesses that have digital protection in place. As a business, it's important to have digital protection in place. Such same thing. So we talk about reputational damage, legal consequences based on reputational damage, based on a data breach, based on a privacy violation. So you would see that some of these consequences are even interwoven. and then erosion of trust. Yes, you lose a lot of customers, you lose partners, you lose stakeholders. Nobody would want to invest in your business if you don't, if you've been breached or there's been a privacy issue and you're not implementing digital protection practices. So that would happen. So to the talk of the day, how can Eunomy help your business maintain ethical digital protection? My colleague that will be speaking next will be doing a lot of talk and breakdown about the Eunomy platform and the amazing work it will do. But this is just like high level of how the Eunomy platform can help you based on the features and functionality. It's an amazing platform. It's a dashboard. Every security professional, whether it's the chief information security officer, chief technology officer, even the CIO, should have and should use to drive or partner with the security team. Standards and custom frameworks. We have practically every, global security standard required for, enterprise growing businesses today on the platform. We have a company information security program. What I like about this company information security program is you actually don't even need to, you're not required to comply to any standard, but it's important every organization has an information security program, which would lead to having a CISO in place. But also today, we have nimble, startups, small scale organizations that maybe not can't afford a CISO or don't even need to grow a security team, but can subscribe to the vCISO service. So with the subscription to the vCISO service, leveraging on Eunomy as a platform, you manage your security program and have effective visibility into every activity to help you be proactive, if we help you, be this digital protection effectively. Automated and continuous compliance. So for the standards, you need to comply to compliance is automated and it's continuous with alerts and flags that would help you track your level of compliance. Two-factor authentication for login, which is what telling you we practice what we preach. So it's a robust and secure platform that will protect your, security information, security data. Real-time collaboration with teams, collaboration, like I mentioned, audit, different teams can collaborate, use this platform in an organization, to drive the security program. Business as usual activities, this literally is any activity in tailored or local to your organization that helps grow, that drives towards digital protection or your security program. You can be imputed and can be tracked through this platform. Organization assets and scans, you could use it for some sort of scanning the organization to have visibility into all your assets, maybe your critical assets, having effective visibility, continuously scanning to know about new assets that have been added and the security status of each asset. User access authorities and privileges. So identity and access management, privilege account management is also implemented and applied on the platform. So specific users in an organization have access to only the kind of information and the privilege they should have. And then fast tracking your path to cybersecurity compliance. So it helps you comply, to cybersecurity best practices and helps you continuously, so it's beyond just complying initially. It's really critical that you can continuously comply and don't fall out of compliance, which might lead to an exposure and, other damaging activities. So ethical responsibility of organizations and individuals in safeguarding digital assets, it's important because it helps talk around data privacy, and integrity of your digital assets. So it's important, this is taken seriously to ensure that security measures, ensuring you have robust, and effective security controls in place. And this is to protect your digital assets, of course, from unauthorized access, theft or possible misuse. Also transparency and informed consent. So, in this day and age, we're about transparency, we're about consent. We're having conversation around how aggregators and regulate customer before their data can be used by fintechs or digital organizations. And so this is a real deal. And, putting these controls in place help safeguard and secure your digital assets, which can be just data or customer information. Ethical use of digital assets, which we've been talking about, then incident response and accountability. In the world of digital protection and cybersecurity, so nobody's promising 100% security, but you can respond quickly and promptly and be accountable for the activities and deliverables of your business, and be able to keep your customer safe, customer data safe, digital assets safe. So thank you for this. I'm not sure if we'll take questions now or after my colleague takes his session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gbolabo. Thank you for sharing with us from the business perspective. For me, that was so enriching. So for the questions, we'll take the questions at the end. So I can see some questions already on the chat. Just keep them coming, and we'll get people to provide answers to the questions. Some answers are already on the chat as well. The ones that are not yet there, we'll provide the answers at the end. But you can also add more questions. Again, Gbolabo, thank you very much. I looked at the business part and when we were talking about ethics as well, and some of the things that really struck me, at least on the business part, is people tend to lose trust and reputation when things are not done ethically. If you do things ethically, the risk would be mitigated to an appreciable level. Also, when things are done properly, using regulatory compliance, you also get to know that, yes, as a business, you're actually complying to regulation. Operational continuity as well, when things are done ethically. It also reduces financial loss, investor confidence. It leads to innovation and expansion as well, and partnership assessment. I think these are critical things as a business that we need to all need to uphold on to, especially when we are dealing with digital assets or we're working in the digital space. We need to ensure as much as possible, anything we're doing digitally, we operate at the highest level of ethical standards. All of us as a business. And you can't say, my business is not IT these days or things like that. Everybody is connected in one way to the other, or one way or the other to the internet. And you're doing something on the internet. Could be personal, could be professional. Just ensure you follow the ethical standards that Gbolabo has mentioned in his presentation today. Also, before the second speaker comes on to talk to us, we're going to do our second poll. So we'll just post it on the platform now. Mayowa, you can go ahead and post it. Please let's respond quickly so that Ayomide can come on and then he'll talk to us about continuous compliance, constitutive security, especially using the Eunomy platform. So quickly, let's answer the poll and then Ayomide will come on. So there are 36 of us, only 10 of us have answered, 11. And the simple question, what is your greatest concern regarding online data security and safety? You always buy things online, you put in your credit card, you put in your information online. What is your greatest concern? It's already almost rounding up from the pool. Our second speaker is Mayowa. Sorry, is Ayomide Daniels. Is the lead research and development for Eunomy. And he'll be talking to us this morning about continuous compliance and constitutive security. The case study will be the Eunomy platform as well. How does Eunomy help to achieve continuous compliance? Mayowa will be telling us more about that. So we have 22 people that have answered. 30 more seconds and we'll round up this pool. 68% of participants. Can we have more people respond, please, so that we can end the poll? Okay. Okay, I think we can end the poll. So let me so the result speaks for itself. What's the greatest concern regarding online data security and safety? So 33% says data breaches comprising sensitive information. So all of us are quite sensitive, or rather, we all say we don't want our data to be breached and when we do things online. So that's how it behoves on us as well to maintain ethical standards as well when we are doing things on digital platforms or when we have things to do with digital platforms. So I'll hand over to Ayomide Daniels quickly, our second speaker, as he takes us on this topic. Ayomide, over to you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bamidele and Mr. Gbolabo. All right. My name is Ayomide Daniels, and I will be taking us through how we can use Eunomy, to better protect ourselves digitally, either personally or either as an entity, or better still, an organization. All right. Okay, yeah. So to ensure that to ensure that you're actually able to protect yourself digitally, at Eunomy, we've come up with a protocol or a strategy which we call continuous compliance and constitutive security. In a minute, we'll talk about what constitutive security is. So first of all, let's look at problem statement basically. Yeah, so as we know, just as my colleague, Mr. Gbolabo and Mr. Bamidele has actually stated, an entity lacking security, whether internally, externally, either as basically it causes a major problem to businesses. And then from the numbers on my screen, we can see that according to an Interpol report, the continent of Africa loses about $4 billion annually to cyber fraud and cyber risk. How bad is it? Almost 90+% businesses in Africa operate without cybersecurity compliance or any form of protocol in place, according to Interpol still. Also, why should you care? This has resulted to almost more than 10% plus reduction in annual GDP, for the continent of Africa, and this has caused a negative ripple effect across industries, thus, stagnating the growth of our dear continent itself. Yeah, so this is just an high level of what we stand to lose as a market and as a continent if we do not adopt cybersecurity the way we should. Yes, okay. So on my next slide, like I mentioned, the approach we're taking at Eunomy, to pushing the boundaries of security further is this strategy that we have coined called continuous compliance and constitutive security. Now, according to an Amsterdam-based cybersecurity firm, it was reported that Nigeria itself ranked 32 most breached country in the world in the first quarter of 2020. And I think just about a few days ago, this number has actually gone up about 20% plus. And then according to the report says about 2,000 plus accounts, from January to February in this current year were actually leaked, which represents a 64% increase in the previous quarter, which is the last quarter of 2022. So why do you need continuous compliance and and security governance? Basically, just like I mentioned, I'm going to further on that, to uphold the integrity of your business, because if your customers are certain, are very sure that you are protected, from a compliance and from a security point of view, it gives you a good image, in terms of public perception, and it also protects your public interest as well as your stakeholders' interest. Compliance standards also ensure that your business is taking the necessary step, to protect itself, information and assets against unauthorized entities, basically, and also provides assurance and support for business objectives and your internal controls, your own processes, either from one colleague to the other, or from you to your vendors, or from you to your end consumers. Having these protocols in place actually ensure that people prevent and miss as fast and as soon as they come. Okay, so on slide, we're going to touch base on so continuous compliance and how does constitute security, how does it come into play? Yeah, so I'm not sure if you know, but there's a journey to where everything starts from, anything like basically, and for security, it starts from the compliance point of view, because the compliance point of view is actually the building block for any security, regardless of your industry or regardless of the kind of business you do. So you build from a compliance point of view, and then you build upward. Now, if you look at the Venn diagram that I actually have here, on my left section, where we can see compliance. On the center, constitution, and then on the right-hand side, we see application backend. And then also in the center, we see something called ISPM, which I'm going to touch base on shortly. And then also on the compliance side of view, we also have a section called security. And then underneath that is the VCSO, CIO, and basically your security teams. And then also on the right-hand side, we have DevOps, which consists of developers, quality assurance, and your CI/CD pipeline, and other stuff. And then beneath, the third diagram itself, we have your cloud or on-premise architecture, be it AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or your own offline setup, basically. So yeah, okay. So let's make a sense of what this Venn diagram is trying to paint. Now, so currently, InfoSec and DevOps itself. By InfoSec, I mean security. Currently, security and DevOps itself, they are not married together as they should. Because in most cases and in most organizations, you find a situation whereby businesses will build their online infrastructure, maybe online or on-premise. They'll build it first, or they'll build the applications first, and then when they are done with the whole process, they now invite in the security parts to come and do assessment. And this actually improves your chance of actually getting attacked even before your security guys can come in, or even before you're able to notice that okay, my architecture infrastructure, something is not right with it, or my application itself is not properly designed to follow proper security standards. So what we are doing, like I said, pushing the boundaries of security forward, is building solutions that are around just continuous compliance and continuous security itself, meaning that we are marrying security and DevOps together, in the sense that okay, let me explain further. Now, for you to achieve a stable security, you have to be compliant. Now, okay, for instance, if you are a fintech company, you require stuff like NDPA, which is the Nigerian Data Protection Act, which is the equivalent of the famously known GDPR. As a fintech company, you need an NDPA. You'd also need ISO. You'd also need PCI. Now, from the record, or from the result, or from the posture gotten from these standards or these compliance frameworks, you use that posture to build up, or to mitigate, or to correct what it is that you are lacking on. That's on one side. Now, on the other side, which is the regulation by backend, whereby a fintech company, they develop their usual fintech application, be it for whatever use case that you have it for. And then on the third hand, which is on-premise, you set up your on-premise, and then you load this stuff up. Yeah, so continuous compliance basically is compliance, the compliance diagram, and then ISPM. So basically, ISPM is an Eunomy's product called it's an acronym for Information Security Posture Manual. So what it does is, the ISPM is actually what helps you, or what enables you achieve continuous compliance. Because traditionally, currently, people have this understanding that, okay, compliance is just a one-off stuff. Oh, okay, this is 2023. Oh, auditor, please audit me. Am I compliant? Auditor says yes, and then they get a certification, and then everyone goes back to stealth mode, and then they come back again next year, which is not the proper way to go. Compliance is continuous. It is on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis. It does not stop. It is in, year out. Yeah. So, but then, ensuring that you are ensure that you're able to achieve continuous compliance, trust me, is an Herculean task. This is now where our ISPM comes in, which is this ISPM basically is a program that you either install on your on-premise infrastructure, or your cloud infrastructure, and then they help you achieve your continuous compliance by looking at certain controls that the compliance framework itself requires that you adhere to strictly. And then whenever something needs to be corrected, the ISPM sends you an alert and say, oh, oh, we found that your password policies on this particular assets or this particular assets or database is wrong. Kindly, sort it, and then we also provide you with a mitigation. Basically, that's on one side. I'm going to marry them together now. Yeah, now the constitution part is basically now what the constitution part is basically what ties compliance, is basically what ties security and DevOps together. Meaning that is what ties security and DevOps together. Meaning that the moment you start building your application or your apps, or the moment you start setting up your cloud or on-premise infrastructure, we are going to ensure, with the ISPM and the constitution, we're going to ensure that you adhere strictly to security policies, which are from compliance frameworks. Because if you're compliant to to the frameworks that your industry require, trust me, you are much secure. Of course, there's no 100% security. It's a continuous task. But the more you're compliant, the more your security posture is high. So with the constitution and the ISPM, what we're trying to do is we are trying to marry security and DevOps together from day one, so that so that you don't have to do DevOps first and then you bring in security later. Now, so by marrying these three together, the compliance, application level, and also infrastructure level, we are able to help you boost your security posture, and also to help you be immune to most security attacks. Now, so what is constitution? You might ask. So basically, constitution is basically on a module that works with the ISPM, and what it does is it helps you mitigate risk on the go, without having to go into your application or go into your infrastructure and try to correct something, and then by the time you're done trying to correct it, the attack might have successfully happened, or maybe on the weekend, everyone is off work, or maybe even December, everyone is off work, and then you need your team to actually come back and start going to your assets to try and mitigate the risk or try and stop an attack. So with the constitution, you're actually able to set laws that you can apply either on an infrastructure level or an application level. Now, when I mean application level, what do I mean? The constitution enables you to set laws that are not static, meaning that at runtime, if a particular request comes into your application, for instance, your application checks with the constitution and says, oh, okay, this person is trying to, okay, let me give a use case. Let's say I'm a user, I am accessing fintech A application, for instance, and let's say, okay, I'm trying to send 30 naira to someone in the Netherlands. Now, on the constitution, you might have created a law that says, okay, if user A account is trying to send 30 naira to someone in a country that you have not sent money to before, block them. So before your application actually executes that transaction, it checks with the constitution first, and the constitution says, oh, this particular request is not recognized by any law. Kindly block it. It is going to be blocked. Meaning that with the constitution, you can actually build a fledged for fintech and for which rest of the that's also on application level part. Also, the constitution also can work with your infrastructure. Let's say for instance, you said a law that says, oh, okay, if anyone is trying to access my cloud or on-premise infrastructure and they are trying to access a file, let's say that starts with A or that starts with dots, or basically they're trying to access any kind of function or any kind of function that they are not meant to access, the constitution itself, before that access is actually executed, the ISPM checks the constitution. Oh, this request is coming into your infrastructure. Is it permitted? If it is not permitted, it is rejected on the instant. Now, yeah, I did on the instant. And the better part of this constitution and ISPM is the fact that you don't have to get too technical. In trying to put on controls or put on policies in place to to help secure whether your infrastructure level assets or your application level assets. And you might ask, what does it work with? Basically, ISPM and constitution, they both work with AI. So yeah, which of course we rely on so much data to be able to identify what you want to run and what you run. And also we consume data from from governing bodies, platforms, and also from zero-day vulnerability discoveries, and also CV reputation and other sources. Yeah. So this is a further step into securing your assets and achieving proper and standard digital protection compared to what we have mostly in the market. So, like I said, at Eunomy, we are not just building security products. We are pushing the security boundary, steps forward. That's why we came up with continuous compliance and also constitutive security. Yeah. Now, so what are the other features that you can actually also get on Eunomy? Based on what Mr. Gbolabo said, building up on that, you have access to world-class standards, from NDPA, PCI, ISO, and SOC 2. And the interesting part is also in Eunomy, you can create your own custom standard. You can create some custom standard, maybe that you need to consume internally, or that you need to access your own vendors, or that you need to access your suppliers, or that you need to access just about any kind of entity that does business with your organization. And then the standards, they have as much robust robust features and assets just as an NDPA or a PCI or an ISO would. Yeah, Eunomy also provides you the ability to be able to do that. And also, we also enable you, do real-time collaboration and assessment, meaning that you can collaborate with your team, because, like I said, security is not traditionally, traditionally when people say security, people think, it's just for infosec guys, it's just for the guys, the guys with the dark terminals, typing the whole sci-fi stuff. No, security is a collective effort, meaning everyone from from R&D, to business, to HR, they are actually meant to be part of it, because if you alienate a part of your organization and then you don't bring them up to speed, the fact that you are immune to attacks externally, that doesn't mean you'll be immune, internally. That's why you have to bring everybody on board, from every department. And that's why with Eunomy, you can collaborate with everyone across the department, and also with your auditors and other stakeholders. Eunomy is so easy to do that anyone can easily become a security practitioner. And also, like I said, with our ISPN, you don't have to do the whole mundane routine work. With our ISPN, basically, which leverages AI, to ensure that you stay compliant and protected, compliant with 24/7, which helps you achieve continuous compliance. Yeah, and also this is a preview, basically, of what. Okay, so this is a preview of the NDPA initiative, basically, to get your posture regarding some certain controls required by the NDPA, from password policy, to data protection compliance, to accountability and governance and all that. Should you want to see much more, please, you can go to eunomy.io and then also have much more visibility. And then lastly, our case study, using it's our financial institution as a case study, they utilize Eunomy for their continuous compliance, and then, on just one we'll be able to save 2.5 million plus, and then also eliminate 60% margin of error, and then also generate report faster. Thank you very much. You can go to eunomy.io to learn more.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Thank you for what you shared with us today. Ayo is an IT person, so he has an IT background. So as many of us that may not be IT-centric per se, I believe to an appreciable level, you're able to get some of the things that he was talking about. But for others that are really fully into the IT world, I believe it was just straight easy for him and straight breeze, more or less. So in a nutshell, I believe two of the major things that I talked about, first of all, compliance. That compliance is the building block of anything you're building. Without compliance, more or less you're on your own. So we need to ensure that, yes, compliance is there when we are building, especially digital solutions. And then we made mention about constitution and then the constitutive, more or less, authority or constitutive security. and we try to explain how we bring that into our platform, which is Eunomy. In a nutshell, when we talk about the ethical considerations for digital protection or digital services, or rather anything you want to do in the digital space, we're trying to say, as long as you're using a platform like Eunomy, which ensures that you are complying to ethical standards, which also ensures that, yes, based on the constitutive authority or the regulations that govern those applications or whatever that you are doing or the services that you want to render, and using Eunomy as a platform, you'll be able to meet the regulatory standards that more or less need to be followed, and be able to comply as well to the regulatory standards that need to be adhered to as well. And it's also invited us to come take a look at Eunomy and see what Eunomy also entails going forward. So we are telling as many of us that are on this call that we have a lot of things to do in terms of information security, also tend to do with things that hover around information security frameworks and standards. So if you take a look at what Eunomy offers, because I could mention, Eunomy is built from the ground up in terms of compliance and in terms of also ensuring that ethically the platform and whatever service you want to run on that platform will be dealt with ethically as well. Thank you very much, Ayo. We have a lot of questions, but we also have one other poll to take. But I think let's try and do the poll quickly, and then we'll go to the questions quickly. Mayowa, can you just share the poll, share the third poll quickly? Okay, so quickly, can we answer the questions on the poll on the screen? And then we will just go to the questions on the platform. Quickly, 31 of us left. Which of the cyber security practices do you prioritize? Ayomide and Gbolabo, get ready for the questions, and also other members of the team on the call. Get ready for to provide answers to the questions. 15 more seconds quickly. Let's close out the pool. Oh, happy to see there is so much people talking about two-factor authentication for important accounts. That's nice. So the message of two-factor authentication really seems to have improved as we deal with digital assets and also digital services. Okay, so I think we can stop for now. So, which of the cybersecurity service practices do you prioritize? And majority of the people went for number 2. It says enabling two-factor authentication for important accounts. So everybody, at least, or rather, majority of the people to an appreciable level know that you can actually put an additional layer of security, Also for people providing solutions for end users, this is also for them as well, that when they provide those solutions, and also to ensure that they maintain ethics, or rather ensure that ethical standards are followed, that they also put a layer of security for the end users as well. So that apart from username and password, there's also another additional layer that they can use to ensure that whatever they do on the platform, or whatever they do in accessing digital services, they are also adequately protected. So once more, thank you everyone for joining. We'll just go quickly through the questions and we'll try and provide answers quickly. So the first question is, what's the name of the book? The link to the book, it's there. And I said it's just a review from Harvard Business School. It's insights from Harvard Business School, and it's a review talking about cybersecurity. And like I said, it's actually something that a lot of us, as many of us that can have access to, need to actually look at the books. There's a lot of people, or rather different people, sharing their perspective. But the thing is this, we also need to ensure that in the current, or know that in the current space that we're playing, security is for everybody. Cybersecurity is for everybody. Why? All of us, we all access digital services. We all access the internet. So you need to protect yourself. You also need to ensure the person next to you is also adequately protected. So if you are consuming a resource or you are providing a resource, you also need to ensure that, yes, ethics are maintained, and that also ensure that ethically, whatever we're providing or whatever we're consuming, at the right level of ethics were also maintained as well. Okay. So the next question, I think, Bo, you're going to talk about this first, and then maybe add one or two things to it. It says, it's from George Omoruku. George says, I believe we're talking from the Nigerian perspective, but is this global? I believe it's both ways. If Nigeria, what is the legal framework for data storage, processing, transfer? And what are the regulatory view of point actions? And how strong is their consequence/implementation in any form of data breach? Okay, let me allow you to talk first of all, but I'll just say this. One thing we'll need to understand concerning this question again is the NDPA, the Nigerian Data Protection Act that has been passed, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed into law in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So as many of us that may not be resident in Nigeria that may not know about this, but this act has been signed into law, and it actually addresses a lot of things that have come up in this question here, in terms of the legal framework, the storage, the processing and transfer of data. Everything is encapsulated in that act. The consequences as well, ranging to fines, ranging to prison terms as well for people that also violate that act, it's also captured. So we need to be cognizant, or rather take cognizant of that act. And we need to also ensure, as many of us that also process or consume data, that we're not running foul of that act. And Gbolabo and Ayomide made mention of how Eunomy can help organizations and businesses to ensure that they comply to that act by using Eunomy to implement the act in their environment, or also using Eunomy to audit the act if they've already implemented it in their environment. Gbolabo, I don't know if you have anything else to add to this as well before I go to the next question. Hello, Gbolabo. Or he's no longer here. Okay. You have anything else to add before I go to the next question?
No, you have. Yeah, just in addition to NDPA, also you should look at the ISO too. Yeah.
Okay, yes, also look at the ISO. Thank you very much. Okay, the next question, I'm going to call on Ayomide and Remy. Remy, can you hear me? If Remy is here, maybe Remy will go first before Ayomide. And Amechi Nsofo says, what are your views on so-called ethical hacking? I'm not referring to white hat hacking, where the organization provides consent. I'm referring to more gray hat hacking, where hackers go ahead and gain access, then inform the organization. So he says he's talking about where hackers go ahead, gain access into the organization before they go ahead to tell the organization that we're actually in your premises, or rather in your business. Remy, can you go first if you're still here before I will provide his own perspective? What are your own views concerning this? Remy is a consultant, and that's one of the reasons why I'm calling him. Remy, can you go ahead? Can you go ahead quickly? Maybe Remy will join us later. Can you go ahead and provide answers?
Okay. On that note, So we need more gray hackers. But what I would recommend is because there are always a legal side to everything that you do. Because there's a thin line between a gray hacker and a black hat hacker. So what I would suggest a gray hacker you do is before you penetrate anyone's network, you should go ahead and tell them, oh, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get back to you with my findings. That way you've shielded yourself from any legal implication. Yeah. So we must always look at the legal implication of anything before we go ahead. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's what I would advise.
Okay. Thank you, Ayo. So Ayo says we need more gray hackers. But again, talking about ethical standards or talking about ethics today, I also went a step further to say, even as we require more gray hackers, before the gray hackers actually go ahead to breach the organization, also go a step further to inform the organization. So we're talking about ethics, that is actually the right thing to do. Let them know that, look, this is what I've observed. I'm going to go in there and also come out with any other additional information. So I believe that answers the question from Amechi. So we need more gray hackers because we need them to also let us know what exactly will be at fault or maybe have issues at the back end that everybody is consuming those services. But just inform the organization before you do it. Okay, will the slides be shared with us after the training? Okay, I think we'll be able to do that as long as you're registered and your email addresses are there. I think we should be able to do that. We'll send the slides to as many of us that are registered with our email addresses. Is there a community to join after the end of the presentation? The answer is there. Follow us on the social media platforms. You know me on LinkedIn. Follow us on X as well, also formerly Twitter. You can also follow InfoPrive Services Limited on the social media channels as well. Okay. I'm going to get the slides. I've answered that. Okay, Ayo, this is for you. It says, how do you mitigate legacy systems where DevSecOps was not integrated or included when they were first developed and onboarded? Ayo, how do you integrate legacy? How do you correct or mitigate legacy systems?
Okay, so I believe you're referring to the continuous compliance, continuous stuff. Yeah, okay, so it would be a breeze because you just have to install a dependency of whichever language it is that you're using, install it on your in an application level, and then make it a global middleware. Basically, it's that simple. Yeah.
So can you take that again, please? You said what?
Okay, so I said I believe this question is targeted towards the continuous compliance and constitutive security I showcased. So I said whether it's legacy or it's the current standards, all you just have to do is install a dependency of whichever programming language your backend uses, and then make it a global middleware. And yes, it will have access to whichever functions you want it to authorize before execution. Yeah. And then also for on-premise or on-cloud architecture, with AWS, Azure, or cloud, you just have to install it, install the ISPM just as an executable. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayo. So next question. We're rounding up. We're supposed to do this for an hour. I just passed about 2-3 minutes or so. We're rounding up soon. George is asking again, what principle practice should be applied for shadow IT in relation to compliance? So let me just try and give a brief overview of what shadow IT is for as many of us that may not be IT compliant. It says shadow IT is the use of IT-related hardware or software by a department or individual without the knowledge of the IT or security group within the organization. I think that in a way also dovetails into the question of the gray hacker as well. But George is asking, what principle and practice should be applied in relation to compliance? Ayo, you want to talk about that? Or you want to add more to that before I add 1 or 2 things?
I'm fine, man.
Okay, so I think, again, George, for me and for everybody listening, I believe the principle that should also be applied is the principle of ethics that we're talking about here today. So if you're going to do something in an environment where the IT or the security group, they are not aware of what you're going to do, the first thing to do is to let them know that this is what I'm bringing, this is what I'm doing. To ensure that you're coming with the right form of ethical standard, and you're not coming to cause a breach or to undermine whatever has been done in that space, except if you are not somebody that is of high level of ethics. That means you're coming to try to breach that environment. But if you know what you're coming to do is actually good and your ethical standards are high in place and all, the best thing is to inform them that, look, I'm bringing this in and this is what I intend to do. Thank you. Gabriel is asking, Speaking about ethical, can light be shed on bug bounty? Ayo, this is your call again. Speaking about ethics or ethical, can light be shed on bug bounty? Ayo, you're the developer, bug bounty. What do you have to say about ethics and bug bounty?
Okay, I don't think I understand. I don't think I understand this question fully. If you might want to rephrase it.
Okay. So he's asking about ethics in relation to bug bounty. So again, what is bug bounty? It says bug bounty is the bug bounty program is the deal offered by website organizations or software developers by which individuals can receive recognition and compensation for reporting bugs, especially those pertaining to security exploits and vulnerability. So the website comes up and it's there, and some people can say, can you try and check this system and see, for example, can you hack into it? Can you break into it or whatever? Let's see if there are exploits or if there are vulnerabilities that are there. So a bounty or some reward is set in place there for people to win if they can break or if they can hack or get access into the system, into the application or whatever solution that is up there. But those individuals, they receive recognition and they also receive compensation. So this guy is asking, what are the ethics concerning such programs? Are such programs ethical or are they not ethical? What do you have to say about them?
Okay, so because why I said, because his question is similar, is in relation to the gray hacker question.
Yes.
So like I said, if a company, is looking for bug hunters, basically, they are the one asking you, oh, come and do what you have to do to look for whatever it is that is wrong with our system. But if they do not, it still falls back to what we said regarding the gray as hacker. Before you carry on with any sort of bug hunting, to receive bounty rewards, basically, you still have to inform the organization, and then they still have to give you go ahead. So basically, on a general note, you might as well go ahead, but from an ethical standpoint of view, they have the legal right to actually sue you, for you to just, they have their own legal right to actually sue you, for even trying to penetrate into their system, because like I said, if you look at black hat hackers and gray hat hackers, there's really not much difference. Yeah, so either for bug hunting, for bouncing, or for specific gray hat hacking purposes, it's still the organization has to give you consent. Yeah, basically.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayo. I think most of the questions also still goes back to talking about gray hackers and that. Okay. Final question: how do we motivate ethical behavior in the workspace? First thing I'll say is that concerning ethical behavior in the workplace is an ongoing decision, but rather discussion, and it's been there for years. It's not a discussion that started today, more or less. It's been there and it will continue to be there. But there are some basic things really that will have to really be in place in ensuring that, for example, to motivate ethical behavior. But again, so I had this interview with TechPoint about 2 weeks ago, and something like this came up. And I also talked about what I mentioned during that interview was that, look, talking about ethics in the workplace, it actually starts from the recruitment. So it means HR that is in charge of recruiting people into the organization, they need to ensure that, yes, the person or the people coming to that organization, that, yes, they are high ethical standards. It's HR's call, it's HR duty to make sure that occurs. But again, how do you motivate? It means, again, that there also have to be incentives in place. There also have to be incentives in place to motivate people to continue to maintain that high level of ethics in an organization. A case in point, we see people that work in the financial services. And let's be honest, you work in financial services and you see money passing through your system on daily basis and everything. You see money passing through your system on daily basis and everything. It will take the grace of God for a lot of people not to actually yield, not to also fall to the temptation of saying, I can get a quick break and just make some money and nobody knows that more or less that I've done it. But when you see again that people don't succumb to such things and they also ensure that they don't end up falling prey, the organizations can also ensure that they actually set up things that will motivate staff in that organization to also maintain ethical standards. And this can be in terms of prizes, could be in terms of bonuses, could be in terms of things that will just ensure that anybody that has a job to do, in the long run, the person is doing the job. And again, he also gets some extras for whatever he's doing. A typical case in point is, I think it was a few weeks ago, there was a policewoman that also returned some money that somebody kept or something like that. I can't remember if it was $75,000 or $10,000 or something. And the policewoman was rewarded. But again, I think this jurisdiction also rewarded the policewoman as well for returning the money. I think Davido also rewarded the lady as well for refunding the money. So there need to be things in place that will encourage ethical behavior in workplaces. It doesn't also have to be only in the financial services sector. It can be in the civil service. It can be in the health sector, manufacturing, whatever environment, even in education as well. We leave our children all day long in the hands of teachers. We should be able to say, look, at the end of the term, at the end of the session, how do I encourage this teacher? How do I encourage all the staff in the school that they're taking care of my kids, they're taking care of my children over this length of time? So one-on-one, we need to also motivate people, especially when they maintain this ethical behavior in the workplace. Thank you very much, Gilbert, for that question. So I'll just post this link to my interview with TechPoint 2 weeks ago that also addresses some of these issues, and then we can take time out and listen to it as well and get some more insights from there. That was supposed to be our final question, but Idris is asking one other question. But this is the final question. I will have to call it a day. He says, what kind of activity can help figure out staff with good ethics in order to encourage them with incentives? This is where I wish my HR lady is here. Where is she? Where is my HR lady? Ifine is not here. Is there any other person with HR background that may want to help to answer that question before I give my own perspective? Anybody with HR background or HR inclination? So we all learn together. Anybody? Nobody. Okay. It says, what kind of activity can help figure out staff with good ethics in order to encourage them with incentives? Off the top of my head, what I can think of now is, so again, when staff in an organization work with internal and external customers, I think one of the things that we can also do is to also carry out surveys internally and externally for people to also rate staff in the organization. Also, if you have projects that or businesses that you do with external customers, what you can also do is the staff that also engage these external customers in different activities, you can also carry out surveys with the external customers to rate the staff and how the staff performed on the job in terms of different ways. It could be on the ethical part, most especially if such things involve a lot of financial, let me not say inducement, but a lot of financial things, or rather, there's a lot of finances that have to do with the project. So you can also, from the external part, tell the client, tell the customer to actually rate the staff or the consultant that worked on this project. And over time, when you get the reviews, especially on the ethical part, once you see the reviews and the reviews are consistent, I believe you should be able to develop a program that will encourage people, and when they maintain this high level of integrity or this high ethical standard in carrying out their job. Once you see it happen consistently as you rate your staff, you should be able to come up with incentives. And the incentives, they vary. The incentives don't always necessarily have to be monetary. They can be several other ways that you can incentivize staff. You can send them on training. You can pay for them to go out on the weekend, just, Friday night, cinema, with hang out with their family. It could be something so small, just to encourage the staff. You could buy the staff a book, you could buy the staff a present, you could buy the staff something, just to encourage the staff based on the feedback that you are getting. So it's not cast in stone, but each organization can always develop their own programs internally to ensure that their staff that maintain a high level of ethics, that they are also recognized and they are also rewarded adequately. So recognition, end of the year, you can also give them a certificate and let them know this is based on what you've been able to achieve throughout the year as well. That's a form of recognition. Because when people know that, yes, they are recognized for the things that they do, what it helps them to do is they always want to do much more. Again, I'll round up with this. Not everything is financial. Let's always have that at the back of our minds. Not everything is financial. Okay, we've come to the end of today's webinar. I would like to say thank you to every one of us that has joined us. I hope that we've been able to learn one or two things, especially concerning our topic this morning. I believe we'll be able to learn one or two things and that we'll be able to put some of these things into practice as well. As many of us that are into the information technology or information security space, just to let us know again that we need to ensure, as the topic says, ethical consideration for digital protection. We need to ensure that we maintain this high level of ethics in deploying solutions to our customers internally and also deploying solutions to our customers externally. And as Gbolabo rightly mentioned in his own slide, without ethics, you're going to destroy trust. The risk in your business will be higher. You will fall short of regulatory compliance. Operational continuity will be seriously affected. Financial loss will step in. You lose investor confidence. Innovation and expansion will be seriously hindered as a business. And partnerships, you will not have good partners in your business. That is just the truth. You will not have good partners. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. And we said, like I said at the beginning, this is a webinar from Eunomy, and we're going to be doing it on quarterly basis from now. And when the next one is ready for the next quarter, which will also be the middle of next quarter, we'll share it out there for many of us to join as well. Again, you can follow us on our social media handles. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow us on X, which was formerly Twitter. And you can also visit our website, eunomy.io. Thank you very much and have a blessed day and the remaining part of the week. Thank you.